This is your need to know. This is your need to know.
Welcome back, everybody. I hope you're ready for another deep dive. This time, we're looking into some really fascinating research about the human heart. You know, we always think of the heart as this tireless pump just taking orders from the brain.
Right.
But
yeah.
what if I told you that the heart actually has a mind of its own?
It really might sound like science fiction, but recent research suggests the heart actually has its own mini brain.
Whoa, whoa, whoa.
Yeah.
Hold on. A mini brain?
Yeah.
I'm really trying to picture that.
Yeah. It's, of course, not a brain in the way we typically think of it.
Right.
It's more like a network of neurons that are embedded in the heart wall,
Okay.
forming this surprisingly sophisticated nervous system.
So it's not just taking orders from the brain.
No, not really. It's not just relaying signals like a telegraph operator.
Okay.
It's actually making decisions.
So the heart is making its own decisions.
Exactly. It's more like the heart has its own local government, making adjustments based on the situation on the ground, so to speak.
That's pretty wild.
Yeah. And researchers have even discovered that this system contains neurons that act like pacemakers.
No way.
Yeah. Setting the heart's rhythm.
Wait, so my heart has its own built-in pacemakers,
Yeah.
totally separate from the brain.
Separate from the brain.
This is blowing my
That's
mind.
a pretty big deal.
That changes everything. I always thought the brain was calling all the shots. This is seriously making me rethink how I see my own body. So how did scientists even figure this out? They must have had to use some pretty high-tech equipment to see these tiny neurons inside the heart.
You're right. It did involve some really advanced technology, and actually it also involved a pretty fascinating model organism, the zebrafish.
Zebrafish. Why zebrafish?
Well, their hearts are remarkably similar to human hearts in terms of how they function.
Interesting.
And they have one big advantage for researchers. They're transparent.
Transparent.
Yeah, especially in the early stages of development.
So scientists can actually see the heart beating
Yes.
and study it in real time.
Exactly.
That's clever. So they can see what's going on.
Yeah, and they combine that visual access with some really cutting-edge techniques. They use something called single-cell RNA sequencing,
Okay.
which allows them to look at the gene expression of individual cells in the heart's nervous system.
I see.
This helps them identify different types of neurons and understand what each one does.
So they're basically creating a detailed map of
Yeah.
the heart's nervous system, like a blueprint
Precisely.
of its control center.
Exactly. They also did anatomical studies to visualize the structure of this mini brain and electrophysiological techniques to measure the electrical activity of the neurons.
Hold on. Electrophysiological techniques. What does that even mean? How do they actually listen in to these neurons talking to each other?
Well, they use tiny electrodes to record the electrical signals that neurons use to communicate.
I see.
It's like eavesdropping on their conversations.
That's wild. And to think this is all happening right now inside our own bodies. But, okay, let's go back to this mini brain itself. If the heart can make some of its own decisions, does that mean our understanding of the nervous system has been totally wrong all along?
I wouldn't say wrong, but definitely incomplete.
Okay.
This discovery just shows us that the heart plays a much more active role in regulating its own rhythm than we previously thought. It's not just a passive recipient of commands from the brain.
Okay.
It's dynamic, responsive.
Wow. Okay, so that is pretty mind-blowing. So now that we know how they made this discovery, let's talk about what it means for us. How could this change the way we treat heart problems?
This is where it gets really exciting.
Okay.
By understanding the heart's internal nervous system better, we might be able to develop completely new ways to treat heart disease.
Like what? Give me an example.
Imagine a world where we can treat arrhythmias.
You know, those irregular heartbeats?
Right, those irregular heartbeats that affect millions of people.
Right.
By targeting those specific pacemaker neurons
Oh, wow.
we talked about, we could develop highly precise therapies that go right to the source of the problem.
Okay, so instead of treating the symptoms,
Exactly.
we could actually address the underlying communication issues within the heart itself.
Yeah.
That's amazing. What about the connection between the heart and the brain, though? We all know that our emotions can affect our heart rate.
Of course.
Could this mini brain be the missing link?
That's one of the biggest questions researchers are trying to answer right now.
Yeah.
They're investigating how the heart's nervous system talks to the brain.
Okay.
especially in situations like stress or exercise.
Right.
If we can understand that communication pathway, it could really unlock a whole new understanding of the mind-body connection.
Are you saying we could actually treat things like anxiety or depression
It's definitely a possibility.
by targeting this communication between the heart and the brain?
What if we could develop therapies that help regulate the heart's nervous system
Okay.
to promote a sense of calm?
Wow.
Or imagine using this knowledge to boost athletic performance
Yeah.
by optimizing how the heart responds to physical exertion.
Wow, that is mind-blowing. It's like we're on the verge of a whole new era of medicine where we're not just treating the physical body, but also addressing the intricate connection between the heart and the mind. Have we been overlooking the heart's role in our overall health all this time?
Absolutely. For centuries, we focused on the heart's mechanical function,
Right.
seeing it primarily as a pump.
Right.
But this research suggests that the heart is so much more than that.
Okay.
It's a complex, dynamic organ with its own intelligence and its own ability to sense, process, and respond to the world around us.
I love that. It's like the heart is finally getting the recognition it deserves.
I think so.
You know, it's not just a muscle. It's a vital part of who we are, both physically and emotionally. I remember one time I was about to give this big presentation,
Oh, yeah.
and my heart was pounding so hard I thought it was going to jump out of my chest.
Oh, I know that feeling.
Yeah. So this mini brain could be playing a much bigger role in our daily lives than we realize. How are scientists actually studying this connection between the heart and the brain, though? I imagine it's pretty challenging to track those signals.
It definitely requires some advanced techniques. One of the most promising approaches is using functional magnetic resonance imaging, or fMRI.
fMRI.
Yeah. It allows researchers to see which areas of the brain are active while monitoring the heart's activity.
Oh, so they can actually see which parts of the brain light up when the
Okay.
heart sends a signal.
It is. They're also using techniques like electroencephalography,
EEG.
EEG, to measure the electrical activity in the brain and correlate it with changes in heart rate and rhythm.
So with all this cutting-edge technology, what kind of breakthroughs are they hoping to achieve in the near future?
One of those exciting areas is the development of bioelectronic therapies.
Okay.
We could potentially implant tiny devices that directly modulate the activity of the heart's nervous system.
Like a pacemaker for the mini brain.
Exactly.
Oh, wow.
Imagine a device that could deliver precisely timed electrical impulses to specific neurons in the heart, restoring normal rhythm in patients with arrhythmias.
That's incredible.
Or a device that could gently stimulate the heart's nervous system to improve its pumping efficiency in people with heart failure.
Those are some pretty incredible possibilities. We can't forget about mental health conditions, though.
Absolutely.
Really.
By mapping the neural pathways between the heart and the brain, we could develop therapies that target specific circuits involved in anxiety, depression, and even post-traumatic stress disorder.
This is really making me rethink everything I thought I knew about the heart. It's like we're discovering a whole new universe within our own bodies. This is also fascinating, but we've been talking a lot about the science. What about the more philosophical implications of this discovery? It's almost forcing us to redefine what it means to be human, isn't it?
You've hit on something really profound.
Yeah.
For centuries, we've separated the heart and the mind,
Yeah.
viewing them as distinct entities. But this research suggests that they're inextricably intertwined,
Okay.
constantly influencing and responding to each other.
It's almost like this mini brain gives the heart a voice, allowing it to participate in a dialogue with the brain in a way we never fully understood before. You know, we talk about following our hearts, listening to our hearts, having a change of heart. It's like we've always intuitively known that the heart plays a role in our thoughts and feelings.
Yeah,
But now science is starting to catch up
I agree.
with that intuition. And this new understanding has the potential to transform not only medicine,
Right.
but also our entire worldview.
For sure.
It encourages us to view ourselves as integrated beings, recognizing the deep connection between our physical, emotional, and even spiritual selves. If the heart has such a sophisticated nervous system, could it be processing information and responding to the environment in ways we haven't even imagined yet?
That's a fantastic question, and it's one that scientists are just beginning to explore. For example, some research suggests that the heart may be able to detect subtle changes in the Earth's magnetic field,
Really?
potentially influencing our mood and behavior.
So our hearts could be acting like internal compasses, guiding us on a subconscious level.
It's a fascinating possibility.
Wow.
And it really highlights just how much we still have to learn
Yeah.
about this incredible organ.
This is all so mind-blowing. I feel like we've only scratched the surface of
Yeah.
what this research could mean for the future.
We have, but one thing is clear. The heart is far more complex and fascinating than we ever imagined.
For sure.
And the more we learn about it, the more we realize how much we still have to discover.
Well, on that note, I think it's time to shift gears a bit.
Okay.
We've talked a lot about the big picture,
Yes.
but let's zoom in and look at some of the specific techniques scientists are using to unravel the mysteries of the heart's mini-brain. After all, these tools are what's allowing us to make these incredible discoveries in the first place.
Absolutely. Understanding these techniques gives us a window into the cutting-edge science that's driving this field forward.
So we're talking about all the tools that scientists are using to study this mini-brain.
Right.
You mentioned single-cell RNA sequencing.
Yeah.
Can you break that down a bit more? What exactly does it do?
Think of it like taking a census of every neuron in the heart's nervous system. Each neuron has a unique set of genes that are turned on,
Right.
and that's what gives it its specific function.
Yeah.
Single-cell RNA sequencing allows scientists to analyze those gene expression patterns in individual neurons.
So they're basically creating a fingerprint for each type of neuron.
Exactly. And by comparing these fingerprints,
Okay.
they can identify distinct populations of neurons
I see.
and figure out what role each one plays in the overall functioning of the heart's nervous system.
Okay, I'm starting to get the picture. But how do they actually study these neurons in action? It's one thing to map them out, but it's another to understand how they communicate with each other and with the brain.
Well, that's where techniques like optogenetics come in.
Optogenetics.
Yeah, it's a revolutionary tool that allows scientists to control the activity of individual neurons using light.
Wait, control neurons with light? How is that even possible?
It might sound futuristic, but it's a reality in neuroscience labs today.
Wow.
Researchers can genetically modify specific neurons
Uh-huh.
to become sensitive to light,
I see.
and then they use tiny optical fibers to shine light on those neurons,
Okay.
either activating or silencing them.
So they can basically turn neurons on and off like
Yeah.
a light switch. That's incredible. What kind of insights can they gain from doing that?
By manipulating the activity of specific neurons,
Okay.
they can observe how it affects the heart rate, rhythm, and even the communication between the heart and the brain. It's
Wow.
like being able to pinpoint the role of each player in an orchestra by selectively silencing or amplifying their instruments.
That's such a great analogy. So optogenetics is helping scientists unravel the complex communication network within the heart's nervous system. But how are they studying the connection between the heart and the brain? You mentioned fMRI earlier. How does that work?
So fMRI, or functional magnetic resonance imaging,
Right.
is a technique that allows researchers to see which areas of the brain are active at a given time.
Okay.
It measures changes in blood flow,
Uh-huh.
which is a good indicator of neuronal activity.
So they can actually see which parts of the brain light up
Exactly.
when the heart sends a signal.
That's right. By combining fMRI with measurements of heart activity,
Okay.
they can start to map out the communication pathways between the heart and the brain.
I see.
For example, they can see which brain regions are involved in processing emotional signals from the heart,
Interesting.
or which regions are responsible for sending signals back to the heart
Huh.
to regulate its rhythm.
Wow, that's pretty amazing. It sounds like we're on the cusp of a whole new era of understanding the heart-brain connection.
I think so.
But what about the future? What are some of the most exciting possibilities on the horizon?
Well, for one, we could see the development of highly personalized treatments for heart disease. Imagine being able to tailor therapies to an individual's unique heart nervous system profile.
So, like precision medicine for the heart.
Exactly.
That's pretty amazing.
We could also see the development of entirely new classes of drugs
Okay.
that target the heart's nervous system directly.
Could this lead to new treatments for mental health conditions as well?
Absolutely. By understanding how the heart and brain communicate,
Yeah.
we could develop therapies that address the emotional components of conditions like anxiety and depression.
Wow.
We might even be able to regulate the heart's nervous system to promote feelings of calm and well-being.
This is all so incredibly exciting. It's like we've taken a deep dive into a whole new world within our own bodies.
We have.
Yeah,
And the heart is truly a remarkable organ.
for sure.
And I have no doubt that it holds many more secrets waiting to be uncovered.
I agree. Well, that's a perfect note to end on. Thanks for joining us on this incredible journey into the heart. To our listeners, we hope this deep dive has given you a new appreciation for the amazing complexity of your own heart. And until next time, keep those minds curious and those hearts beating strong.
This is your need to know.
City lights dance in a summer trance. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Echoes in the air, futuristic flare. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Rhythm of the night in electric light. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Pick it up and beat it, it's happening now. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Lose control, let your body bow. Chromatic dreams and pixel streams. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Digital romance in a virtual dance. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Laser beams, steams. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Synthetic haze and techno craze. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Holograms collide in a stroke tide. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Quantum leap in a bass deep. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Time warps folding beats. Boom, beat up, bum pow. Galactic beat in cosmic heat. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Pick it up and beat it, it's happening now. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Lose control, let your body bow. Electric pulse in the sonic walls. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Neon skies in your eyes. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Frequencies clash in a color splash. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Digital love fixed like the glow. Better beat up, bum bum pow. 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 There's another dream in a high beam. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Fragments of the night in a sonic light. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Virtual realm at the helm. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Bassline thumb in a techno hum. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Pick it up and beat it, it's happening now. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Lose control, let your body bow. Synthesizers sing in a digital spring. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Cyborg hearts in these parts. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Neon dreams burst at the seams. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Cosmic sound in a starry bound. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Electric haze will lose our way. Better beat up, bum bum pow. In a techno night when we find our light. Better beat up, bum bum pow. With the rhythm high we reach the sky. Better beat up, bum bum pow. In the endless beat our hearts will meet. Better beat up, bum bum pow. 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 Better be down low where the shadows go. Better beat up, bum bum pow. City lights dance in the summer trance. Better beat up, bum bum pow. In the down low where the shadows go. Better beat up, bum bum pow. City lights dance in the summer trance. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Echoes in the air, futuristic flare. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Rhythm of the night in electric light. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Pick it up and beat it, it's happening now. Better beat up, bum bum pow. Lose control, let your body bow.